Hello students, welcome. Today we are going to learn about control and coordination in this video, right? Before starting this chapter, I wanted you to go through certain images that are there. In the first image, we can see two children are cycling, right? In second, you can see that a lady tries to walk in a straight line. In third, plant in A and in B, you can see that in A, small sapling is grown in a soil, right? On the other hand, in B, you can see that movement of root towards the water. And in fourth, a person tries to balance. From all these images, what comes in our mind? In the children tries to ride a bicycle. For that, they need balancing. In second, a lady tries to walk in a straight line, right? Again, needs a balancing, right? Then third, movement of a plant. So here you can see movement towards water. So there is something that a plant is showing movement towards it. And in fourth, posture, right? So all these activity are controlled by a system, and that system is known as nervous system. All right, so we will learn in this video about the nervous system. Okay, clear? So let's move ahead. One more. Our human body, we are composed of many certain types of systems. Human body is composed of nervous system, musculoskeletal system, excretory system, reproductive system, endocrine system, respiratory system, integumentary, that means internal, right? These layers of muscles, and internal we have endocrine system and all. Then cardiovascular system, digestive system, and immune system. So we are composed of many such systems, right? And how does these system, these system coordinate with each other? Controlled by, who controls it? It is controlled by nervous system. All these systems are controlled by nervous system, but these are coordinated. These systems are coordinated by another system, and that system is known as endocrine system. So basically, in this chapter, we will discuss about nervous and endocrine system. Okay, let's see. Here, in animals, the nervous system and hormonal system plays important role for control and coordination. Nervous system, the brain and all. Hormonal system is the one that I told you, it's an endocrine system. Okay. Whereas in plants, the control and coordination is done by chemicals, and such chemicals are known as phytohormones. All right. Such kind of movements towards the something outside, external, right? external changes in the environment that take place in plants as well as in animals. So we will learn both the type of responses in plants as well as in animals. Okay, now let's see the images that are there on your screen. In first image, you can see a girl tries to balance again. Here the word balance comes, right? So here, balance hula hoop. And here, in the second image, you will see plant shows the movement. Here, plant moves towards the light. Here, roots are moving towards the water. And here you can see a twin rolls around the support. Here you can see that roots are going down and stem is moving up. Here the pollen grains, they are moving towards the ovule, and here in this the movement is towards the touch. Okay, so plants as well as animal, they shows all the kind of movements, but in animals these movements are controlled by hormonal system and nervous system, whereas in plant it is controlled by hormones, and those hormones are known as phytohormones. Let's see now coordination and control, right? In animals, control and coordination is done by nervous system and endocrine system. Nervous system is an organ system that contains special neurons that we have learned in grade 9, right? Structure of neuron, it has branch, right? Then branches are known as dendrites, axon, cell body, and then at the end it has nerve ending, right? So nervous system is made up of specialized cells, and those cells are known as neurons. There are two types of nervous systems. There are two types of nervous system. Those nervous systems are central nervous system, right? Let's see. There are two types of nervous system, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is the main processing unit. It includes brain and spinal cord. Peripheral, as the name indicates, it's away from the central nervous system. It includes somatic nervous system and autonomous nervous system. Somatic, again, it is made up of types of nervous systems, right? Voluntary nervous systems that includes cranial nerves and spinal nerve. Cranial nerve are the one which arises from the brain, and spinal nerves are the one which arises from the spinal cord. There are around 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Clear? Now, automatic nervous system, which is also known as A and S. It is also known as involuntary nervous system. Somatic is voluntary nervous system, whereas autonomous is involuntary nervous system. Voluntary and involuntary, it's the same like under our control without, but one is in our control, that is involuntary, and involuntary, that is not in our control. Autonomic nervous system, it is also known as involuntary nervous system, in which sensory and motor neurons plays an important role. It is subdivided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So what comes under autonomic nervous system? It is made up of sensory nerves and motor nerves. So we have learned here total 4 types of nerves. The first one is cranial nerve, the one that arises from the brain. Then is spinal nerve, the one that arises from the spine. Then motor nerve and sensory nerve. Now, what's the difference between motor nerves and sensory nerve? Let me explain you. Just imagine if it's a brain, all right, and here is our hand, all right. When our hand, let's better write it down. Here is our brain, and let's say here is a hand, all right. When the message passes from hand, when the message goes from hand to brain, that is through sensory nerve. And when the message is conveyed, that is, message is processed and it comes back from brain to hand, it is through motor nerves. Is it clear? Right? So what is that? Motor nerves are the one that brings message from brain to the body. All right. And sensory are the one that brings message, that takes away message from body to the brain. All right. Now let's discuss about the cranial and the spinal nerve. Cranial nerve is that arises from brain. All right. And spinal nerve arises from spinal cord. And how many pair of spinal nerves are there? There are total 34. Sorry, not 34, 31 number of a pair of nerves, spinal nerves arises, and there are total 12 pairs of cranial nerves that arises from the brain. Autonomous nervous system is further divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system, right? Sympathetic nervous system that helps us in fight and flight. Parasympathetic nervous system, it helps in resting and digestion. So both are opposite, both are functioning opposite to each other. Stimuli, there are a few more terms that we are going to learn, like stimuli, receptor, effector, sensory nerves and motor nerves. Sensory nerves and motor nerves we have already discussed, right? Stimuli. Stimuli is something because of which the living organism respond. For example, stimuli can be anything. It's not mandatory that stimuli could be, it can be anything. For example, if a person touches the hot plate, right? Then if a person unknowingly, if the person takes or places his or her hand on a nail, sharp nail, right? Then what happens? We show the response. Person will show the response towards it, right? So stimuli is something, it is an external, a change in, we can say it is change in external environment. It is change in external environment due to which an organism responds, right? So here it is written, organism responds toward the stimuli in the form of the movement. Examples are given: heat, cold, sound, smell, taste, touch, pressure, gravity, water, etc. Heat I have given, hot plate, cold. When we are going to any hilly station during the time of January, yeah, during the time of winter, we use extra woolen clothes, right? At the home also during the summer, if we sit in the room and if the temperature lowers down due to use of the AC, what we do? We show the movement, we switch off the AC, right? If third one is a sound. If there is loud sound somewhere, what we do? We move away from there, right? So organisms, living organisms shows movements towards the stimuli. Then second one is the receptor. Second one is receptor. Receptors are something from which, it is something that receives the stimuli, right? As the name indicates, receptor. So what is the meaning? It receives the stimuli. There are different receptors. Photoreceptor has a word indicates. Photo, what is the meaning of photo? Light, right? Photo is light. It detects the light. Then phonoreceptors, sound, phone, sound. Then olfactory receptor, smell. Gustatory receptor, it is in the tongue that detect the taste, and tangoreceptor, it detect touch and pressure. So it is present in the skin, right? Next is the effector. Effector is something are the muscles or the glands which respond to the information from the brain and spinal cord through the motor nerves. So if we draw a pathway, right? Or if I write, for example, heat, right? If it's too hot, then this heat, our skin is going to detect, or our body is going to detect, right? Or let's assume that any hot, let's assume that any hot milk glass we have touched, right? So skin will detect it. And what is the skin? It's a receptor. Clear? What is hot milk? It's a stimuli. Then this will pass the message to the brain, right? It will pass the message to the brain, and brain will convey the message to your hand, or let's say to our arm or hand. All right, and our hand will show the response that we will keep the glass down or we'll just keep away, remove our hand from it. So what is an arm? It's an effector, right? So it is forming a kind of an arc. It's forming a kind of a pathway, and such pathway is known as arc, that we will learn at the later part. Okay, so hope it's clear that what is a stimuli? It's a hot milk, right? Stimuli is a hot milk here, okay? Stimuli is a hot milk. Receptor is our skin. Brain is a processing unit. And effector is our arm or hand. Clear? Sensory nerves and motor nerves. Here comes the sensory nerves and motor nerves. Sensory nerves are same. If you remember, I have given the example from hand, that is body, to brain. So here are our sensory nerves. Okay. So these are our sensory nerves that are carrying the message to the brain. Then comes the motor nerves. These are motor nerves that carries message from brain to the body. right? So these are the motor nerves. Here it is written from brain to the spinal cord and to the effector, right? And sensory nerves are from receptor, that is sense organ, to the brain, and finally it is to the spinal cord. So hope it's clear. The stimuli, receptor, sensory nerve, processing unit, right? Then motor nerve and effector. This is what a human nervous system is. A human nervous system composed of brain, spinal cord. There are different types of nerves that comes under peripheral nervous system, right? So our nervous system is divided into two, CNS and PNS. CNS contains brain and spinal cord, whereas PNS is made up of nerves. We have learned nerves on the basis of location, if you remember, origin, and on the basis of origin, nerves are either cranial or spinal, right? And there was another type of nervous system, there are another type of nerves on the basis of their function. And those were sensory and motor. Clear? So this is what comes under PNS and CNS. So we will be learning about CNS and PNS. Unit of nervous system. It has a cell body called cyton. This is cyton containing a nucleus and a cytoplasm. Here is the cytoplasm. Rich in mitochondria because it needs more amount of energy. It has several branch structure called dendrites. Where are the dendrites? Here is the dendrite. It has long nerve fiber which is known as axon. Here is the axon, which is covered by a protective covering which is known as myelin sheath. Here is the myelin sheath. The function of myelin sheath is to protect myelin sheath is a protective covering that protects neuron from the damage. And finally, it has a junction which is known as synapse, right? Here is a synapse, you can see an axon terminal. So this is the unit of neuron nerve system. And that's it. In the next video, we will learn more about the functioning and working of nervous system in detail. Thank you.